My daughter said there was no room for me this holiday, so I took back the beach house. The first ring light she used was mine. The first caption she ever posted, I wrote that. But when she got famous, I was suddenly too real for her curated world. The salt air still carries the same scent it did 23 years ago when I first laid eyes on this weathered beach house in Tybee Island. Back then, it wasn't an Instagram backdrop. It was a dream I could barely afford, a single mother's desperate gamble that maybe, just maybe, I could give my daughter something beautiful to remember. I was working 3 jobs then, cleaning offices before dawn, answering phones at Dr. Mitchell's dental practice during the day, and stocking shelves at the Piggly Wiggly until midnight. My hands were always cracked from bleach, my feet always aching, but every dollar I scraped together went toward the down payment on this place. Leah was only 5, gap-toothed and wild-haired, collecting shells while I calculated mortgage payments on napkins. "Mama, why this house looks so sad?" she'd asked that first day, pointing at the peeling blue paint and broken shutters. "Because it's waiting for us to make it happy, baby girl," I told her, not knowing how prophetic those words would become. For 15 years, that house was our sanctuary. Every summer, every holiday, every moment we could steal away was spent there. I painted those walls myself, soft coral in the living room, because Leah said it looked like a sunset. I planted the jasmine that now climbs the front porch because she loved the smell. I installed that swing on the deck where we'd sit for hours, her head on my shoulder, planning her future like we were plotting world domination. College changed something in Leah. She came home for Christmas break her sophomore year with a ring light and a dream bigger than Savannah itself. "Mama, everyone's doing this influencer thing. I could be good at it. Look at this girl. She's got 2 million followers just from showing her outfits."
I should have seen the warning signs then.
The way she started arranging our sweet potato casserole before taking pictures. How she'd make me retake photos of her by the ocean until the lighting was perfect. But I was proud. My baby girl had vision, ambition. She was going to be somebody. "You're naturally photogenic, sweetheart," I encouraged her, holding the ring light steady as she filmed her first day in my life video. "And you've got personality for days." That first video got 37 views. I was 25 of them. "We need to make the content more engaging," she announced after studying YouTube tutorials like they were scripture. "The algorithm rewards consistency and authenticity." Authenticity. That word would come to haunt me. I became her unpaid production assistant without even realizing it. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. to prep elaborate breakfast spreads that she'd photograph for exactly 2 minutes before letting them go cold. I learned to stay perfectly still while she filmed, crouched behind cameras, holding reflectors, adjusting lighting. I became a ghost in my own house. "Mom, can you write something cute for this caption? You're good with words," became her constant refrain.
So I did.
I wrote about the magic of coastal mornings, the heritage recipes passed down from my grandmother, the simple joy of watching sunsets from our deck. My words, her face, her growing audience. The breakthrough came during her senior year. A lifestyle post I'd crafted about finding peace in simple moments, paired with a photo of her reading on our porch swing, went viral. 50,000 likes overnight. Brand partnerships started rolling in. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know about the girl with the perfect coastal aesthetic. "Mom, I'm going to move to LA after graduation," she announced, not asked. "That's where all the big influencers are. But don't worry, I'll always come back here for content. This place is like my brand now." My heart sank a little, but I forced a smile. "Of course, baby. Chase those dreams." And chase them she did. Within 2 years, At Leah Coastal Life had 800K followers. She was partnering with major brands, flying to events, living in a West Hollywood apartment that cost more than I made in 6 months. But she kept her promise. She came back to the beach house regularly, sometimes with photographers, sometimes with sponsored products to showcase against our familiar backdrops. I should have felt proud. Instead, I felt increasingly invisible. "Mom, can you maybe not walk through during the shoot?" became a common request. Then, "Could you keep the volume down? I'm filming." And eventually, "Would you mind staying in your room today?" The brand wants a very specific vibe. I started noticing other changes too. In her content, our family history got softer, vaguer. The stories about me working multiple jobs disappeared. Our Southern roots, our Black heritage, the struggles that made us who we were, all of it got edited out for a cleaner, more palatable narrative. I became my mom in captions if I was mentioned at all. Never Martha. Never the woman who sacrificed everything to make her dreams possible. The followers ate it up. Comments gushed about her perfect life and goals aesthetic. Brand deals multiplied. She bought a Tesla, then a condo, then started talking about investing in real estate, all while using my beach house as her personal studio. "You know, Mama," she said during one of her visits, adjusting a ring light in my living room, "you could really update this place. Maybe some neutral colors? That coral wall is kind of loud for the camera." I looked around at the room I'd painted with my own hands, chosen with my own heart, filled with 20 years of memories. "I like it the way it is, sweetheart." She shrugged. "It's just that my audience expects a certain level of sophistication, you know?" That night, after she'd finished filming and gone to bed, I sat on the deck alone, listening to the waves crash in the darkness. When had my daughter started seeing our home as a set? When had I become part of the background that needed to be managed? I pulled out my phone and scrolled through her Instagram, really looking at it for the first time in months. Photo after photo of my house, my kitchen, my garden, my view. But in all those hundreds of images spanning 3 years, I appeared in exactly none of them. I had been cropped out of my own life. The next morning, she was up early setting up another shoot. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen counter, watching her arrange props and adjust cameras. She was beautiful, successful, living her dreams. I should have felt nothing but pride. Instead, I felt like a stranger in my own home. "The lighting's perfect today," she muttered, focused on her phone screen. "This is going to get massive engagement." I sipped my coffee and wondered when I'd stopped being her mother and started being her employee. More troubling, I wondered when I'd stopped mattering at all. It wasn't the miscommunication. It wasn't about space. It was about shame. The text arrived on a Tuesday morning in November, just as I was mentally planning our Thanksgiving menu. I'd been looking forward to the holidays for months. Leah had promised to bring her new boyfriend Marcus and hinted that I might finally meet my grandchildren via FaceTime. Her 2 babies lived with their father on the West Coast, a situation that broke my heart but wasn't my story to tell. My phone buzzed while I was selecting sweet potatoes at the farmer's market. "Leah, hey mom. So excited about the holidays, but there's been a change of plans. The beach house is completely booked with brand partnerships and sponsored content shoots through New Year's. Super last minute, but you know how these opportunities work. We'll definitely FaceTime on Christmas morning though. Love you. 2 hearts." I read it 3 times, standing there among the vegetables like a fool. Other shoppers moved around me while I tried to process what I was reading. My own daughter had just uninvited me from my own house for Christmas. My fingers shook as I typed back. "What do you mean booked? It's our family holiday." The response came quickly. "I know it's disappointing, but this is a huge campaign with multiple brands. 6-figure deal, Mom. You understand, right?" I didn't understand. I called her immediately. "Mom, I can't really talk right now. I'm in a meeting," she answered on the 3rd ring, her voice tight with irritation. "Leah, baby, I need you to explain this to me. Are you saying I can't come to my own house for Christmas?" A pause. Then a sigh that felt like a slap. "It's not like that. It's just, look, this campaign is massive. Authentic holiday traditions with 3 major lifestyle brands. They're shooting everything, morning routines, cooking content, gift guides, the whole aesthetic. There's going to be photographers, videographers, brand reps, influencer guests. It's going to be wall-to-wall content creation. So, where do I fit in that?" Another pause, longer this time. "Mom, you know how these things work. The brands have very specific visions for their campaigns. They need everything to look cohesive." Cohesive. Yeah, like curated, professional. You know what I mean? But I didn't know what she meant, so I asked. "No, Leah, I don't know what you mean. Explain it to me." The silence stretched, So long, I thought the call had dropped. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, colder, more distant. "Look, Mom, I love you, but your energy and image wouldn't really fit with what we're trying to achieve. These brands are paying for a very specific aesthetic, and honestly, having you there would complicate the narrative we're building." The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat down hard on a bench outside the market, my groceries scattered around my feet. "My energy and image," I repeated slowly. "Don't take it personally. It's just business. You wouldn't understand the pressure I'm under to deliver exactly what these brands want. My entire livelihood depends on this. The house where you built your entire brand, my house, and I wouldn't fit the aesthetic. Mom, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'll make it up to you after the holidays, okay? Maybe we can do a little weekend getaway or something." The call ended, and I sat there on that bench for 20 minutes, watching people walk by with their normal lives and their normal families. A mother and daughter passed me, laughing about something, arms linked, and I wanted to scream. That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I really looked at Leah's social media, not just scrolling past the pretty pictures, but actually studying them. I went back months, then years, searching for any trace of our real story. What I found made my chest tight with a pain I could name. In 3 years of content, spanning hundreds of posts, our family's truth had been systematically erased. No mention of the 3 jobs I worked to buy the house. No photos of me at all after 2021. The few early posts that referenced family traditions were vague and sanitized. Our Southern heritage, the Black church ladies who taught me to cook, the community that raised us both, all of it had been whitewashed into generic coastal grandmother aesthetic. She'd even changed the story of how we got the house. In one post, she'd written about her family's generational coastal retreat, as if it hadn't been bought with cleaning supplies and night shift wages. As if we hadn't eaten ramen for months to make those mortgage payments. I found myself searching for my own face in her content, like I was looking for evidence I'd ever existed. The woman who'd held the ring lights, written the captions, styled the food, managed the logistics of every shoot, I had been completely edited out. But the most painful discovery was a recent post about gratitude and family. The comments were full of followers praising her for being self-made and independent. One comment particularly stung. "Goals. I love that you built this empire all by yourself." Leah had hearted it. I closed the app and stared at my reflection in the black phone screen. When had I become so forgettable? When had the woman who'd sacrificed everything for her daughter's dreams become too real for those same dreams? The next morning, I woke up with a clarity that surprised me. I made my coffee in the kitchen where Leah had filmed dozens of morning routine videos, sat at the table where she'd photographed countless authentic family meals that I'd cooked, and I finally understood what had happened. My daughter wasn't just embarrassed by me. She was ashamed of where she came from. And she'd built an entire brand on pretending I didn't exist. She told me I didn't fit the vibe, so I started sharing what real life actually looks like. 3 days after that phone call, I was sitting on my front porch at dawn, drinking coffee from a chipped mug that had "World's Best Mom" painted in fading letters, a Mother's Day gift from Leah when she was 12. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd barely slept since our conversation. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice saying I wouldn't fit the aesthetic. I kept replaying moments from the past 3 years, seeing them clearly for the first time. How she'd asked me to step out of frame, to keep quiet during filming, to basically disappear so her content could shine brighter. The anger I'd been swallowing for months was finally surfacing, and with it came something unexpected, a reckless kind of freedom. I pulled out my phone and, on impulse, downloaded TikTok. If my daughter could build an empire on social media, maybe it was time I learned what all the fuss was about. I created an account without much thought, at No Filter Mama, and sat there staring at the blank profile. What did I have to lose? My daughter had already made it clear I didn't exist in her world. My first video was accidental in its honesty. I just started talking to the camera like I was chatting with a friend over the fence. "Good morning, y'all. I'm Martha, and I'm 51 years old. My coffee's in a cracked mug, my porch needs painting, and my daughter just uninvited me from Christmas at my own house because I don't fit her brand's aesthetic. I laughed, but it came out bitter. So, I figured I'd show y'all what real life actually looks like when nobody's curating it. I posted it without editing, without thinking, without any of the strategic planning I'd watched Leah do for years. 12 views.
3 likes.
1 comment. Honey, you dodged a bullet. Keep being real. Something about that comment made me smile for the first time in days. The next morning, I made another video while scrambling eggs for breakfast. Day 2 of being aesthetically unacceptable. I announced to my phone. Today's breakfast is burnt on one side, perfect on the other, just like life. And yes, I'm eating it standing up at the counter like a heathen, because that's what real mamas do. 26 views. 8 likes. 5 comments, all supportive. I started filming everything Leah would never show. My morning skincare routine using drugstore moisturizer and shea butter from the dollar store. Washing dishes by hand because my dishwasher had been broken for 3 months. Talking to my plants on the porch while wearing a faded housecoat and slippers with holes in them. This is my garden, I said in one video, panning across the jasmine and herbs I'd planted myself. I grew these with my own hands, dirt under my fingernails, back aching from bending over. Not very Instagram-worthy, but they smell like heaven. The comments started coming faster. People were relating to the realness, the unfiltered truth of ordinary life. They were thanking me for showing what authenticity actually looked like. You're like the internet mama I never had, one person wrote. Finally, someone who doesn't make me feel bad about my messy house, said another. But the video that changed everything came 2 weeks later, on a gray December morning, when the loneliness felt particularly heavy. I was folding laundry, my least favorite chore, when I decided to film it. Morning, beautiful people, I said, holding up a wrinkled shirt. Today we're talking about getting uninvited from your own house for Christmas. I shook out the shirt and continued folding while I talked. My daughter sent me this text, and I'm gonna read it to y'all because sometimes you need witnesses to your own life. I pulled out my phone and read Leah's message word for word, my voice steady despite the pain. The beach house is completely booked with brand partnerships and sponsored content shoots through New Year's. I looked back at the camera. That's my house, y'all. The house I worked 3 jobs to buy. The house where she built her entire brand. But apparently, I don't fit the vibe anymore. I continued folding clothes, letting the silence speak. You know what hurts the most? It's not being left out. It's being erased. Like all those years of sacrifice, all that love, all those memories, none of it fits her curated life anymore. I posted it and went to bed thinking maybe 100 people would see it. I woke up to 500,000 followers and my phone buzzing nonstop. The video had been shared 50,000 times. The comments were pouring in faster than I could read them. Stories from other mothers who'd been sidelined by successful children. People sharing their own experiences of being deemed not aesthetic enough for family events. The raw honesty had struck a nerve I didn't even know existed. This broke my heart. One comment read, "You deserved better." The audacity of that child, said another. You raised her better than that. But it was the comment from @RealTalkRachel that made me sit up and pay attention. Ma'am, you just became my hero. This is what authentic looks like. By noon, I had 750,000 followers. By evening, it was approaching 1 million. My phone was ringing constantly, reporters, podcast hosts, brand managers. Everyone wanted to talk to the woman who'd been brave enough to tell the truth about being discarded by her own daughter. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Not as a background prop or an inconvenient truth to be edited out, but as a whole person whose story mattered. The real twist? While I was gaining followers by the thousands for being authentically myself, Leah's engagement was starting to drop. The comments on her latest posts weren't about her outfit or her morning routine anymore. They were asking about her mother. They didn't know who I was until they did. The detective work started innocently enough. My follower count had hit 1.2 million when someone in the comments noticed something familiar about my background. Wait, @BeachVibes only wrote under my morning coffee video. That porch looks exactly like the one from at Leah Coastal Life's posts. Same blue paint, same swing, same view. I felt my stomach drop as I read the comment, but before I could even process what it meant, the replies started flooding in. OMG, you're right. Same jasmine vine too. Hold up, is this the beach house from all her content? Y'all, I think this is Leah's mom. Within hours, someone had created a side-by-side comparison. My video of the morning sunrise from the porch next to Leah's recent gratitude and reflection post from the exact same angle. The evidence was undeniable. We were in the same house. But the internet wasn't done playing detective. At Truthseeker 2024 posted a video that made my blood run cold. So I did some digging, and I think I figured out who at No Filter Mama really is. They'd screenshotted one of Leah's earliest posts from 2019, a rare photo that included the edge of my hand holding a reflector. Look at the hands in this old post, then look at the hands in Martha's videos. Same rings, same nail shape. Plus, Martha mentioned her daughter is an influencer who uninvited her for Christmas. Leah posted about brand shoots during the holidays. The math is matting, people. The video got 2.3 million views in 12 hours. My phone started buzzing with notifications I'd never seen before. News outlets were calling. At Pop Culture Now wanted an interview. 3 different podcast hosts reached out in the same hour. But the message that caught my attention was from at Mama Tells It Right, a popular creator with 4 million followers. Martha, honey, I need to talk to you. What your daughter did is inexcusable, and my audience needs to hear your story. The real story. I watched her video with shaking hands. She'd put together a complete timeline. Leah's rise to fame, the evolution of her content, the gradual erasure of family references, and now the Christmas disinvitation. She'd even found archived versions of Leah's old posts that mentioned family traditions, posts that had since been edited or deleted. This woman, she said, pointing to a screenshot of my face from an old story, sacrificed everything to build the foundation her daughter's career is built on. And now she's being treated like she's not worthy of the space she created. This isn't just about aesthetics, y'all. This is about shame. The video ended with a call to action that made my heart race. Tag the brands that sponsor at Leah Coastal Life. Ask them if this is the kind of family values they want to support. And people did. Oh, they did. Sunkissed Home Goods, one of Leah's biggest sponsors, started getting thousands of comments on their recent collaboration post with her. Do you know how at Leah Coastal Life treats her own mother? Coastal Living magazine, which had featured Leah in their Rising Stars issue, found their Instagram flooded with messages. Maybe feature Martha instead. She's the one who actually built this coastal lifestyle you're celebrating. The luxury bedding company that had just signed Leah for a 6-figure holiday campaign suddenly found themselves in damage control mode as comments poured in. Imagine paying someone to represent family values who won't let her own mother come home for Christmas. But the most devastating blow came from at Influencer Truth, an account that specialized in exposing fake authenticity online. They'd created a masterpiece of investigative content, a split-screen video showing Leah's self-made narrative alongside the reality of my story. On the left, we have Leah claiming she built her brand from nothing, the narrator explained as clips of Leah's interviews played. On the right, we have her mother Martha, who worked 3 jobs to buy the beach house that became the backdrop for every single piece of content that made Leah famous. They'd even found old local newspaper clippings about me, one from when I'd volunteered to organize a community fundraiser, another from when I'd received recognition for perfect attendance at my cleaning job. The article mentioned my dream of buying a beach house for my daughter. Martha didn't just support her daughter's dreams. The video continued. She literally built the foundation they were built on. And her reward? Being told she doesn't fit the aesthetic. The video went viral in a way that made my own success look small. 8.7 million views. 200,000 shares. It was trending on 3 different platforms. My following exploded to 2.8 million overnight. But more importantly, brands started reaching out to me directly. We'd love to partner with that No Filter Mama for our Real Women, Real Stories campaign, wrote the marketing director from a major skincare company. Your authenticity is exactly what our brand represents. A home goods company offered me a deal worth more than I'd made in 2 years. We want to celebrate the real women behind the beautiful spaces. You embody everything we stand for. Even a publishing house reached out. We'd be honored to help you tell your full story. The world needs more voices like yours. Meanwhile, Leah's comment sections had become battle zones. Every post was flooded with questions about me, criticism of her treatment of family, and demands for accountability. Her latest video, a morning routine in what I recognized as a hotel room, had more comments about her mother than about her skincare products. The brands were noticing too. I watched as collaboration posts started getting deleted, partnership announcements were quietly removed, and Leah's sponsored content became less and less frequent. The internet had connected the dots, and the picture they'd revealed wasn't pretty. My daughter, the self-made influencer with the perfect coastal lifestyle, had built her empire on a foundation of lies and family exploitation. And now everyone knew it. She came back to the house, but this time, I didn't make her tea. I was filming a simple video about making cornbread from scratch, my grandmother's recipe that had never made it into Leah's family traditions content, when I heard a car door slam in my driveway. It was December 23rd, 2 days before the Christmas I'd been uninvited from. Through the kitchen window, I saw her. Leah, standing beside a black SUV, no camera crew in sight. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she was wearing sweatpants, something her followers would never see. She looked smaller somehow, deflated. My first instinct was to run to her, to smooth over whatever had brought her here. 25 years of motherhood had trained me to fix her problems before she even asked. But I stopped myself, remembering her words. Your energy and image wouldn't really fit. I turned off my camera and waited. The knock came soft and hesitant, nothing like the confident daughter who'd taken over my house for brand shoots. I opened the door and found her standing on the porch where I'd filmed dozens of videos over the past month. The porch she'd claimed didn't fit her aesthetic. "Mom," she said, and her voice cracked on the word. "Leah." I didn't move to hug her. I didn't invite her in. I just stood there, hand on the doorframe, waiting. "Can we talk? Please." I stepped aside and let her enter, but everything felt different now. This was my space, not her content studio. She seemed to sense it too, the way she hesitated in the living room, looking around like she was seeing it for the first time. "You want some tea?" I asked out of habit. "No, Mom, we need to discuss what's happening online." "What about it?" She started pacing, her anxiety filling the room. "My management team is in full crisis mode. 3 major brands have pulled their partnerships. My agent says the holiday campaign is completely dead. Do you have any idea what this is costing me?" I sat down in my favorite chair, the one with the faded floral print that had never been camera-worthy. "Tell me." "The internet is going crazy. They're calling me ungrateful, entitled, a fraud. Someone started a hashtag Justice for Martha, and it's trending. My comments are nothing but people demanding I apologize to you. Some of my biggest supporters have unfollowed me." And she stopped pacing and stared at me. "And, Mom, this is destroying everything I've built." "Everything you've built," I repeated slowly. "On my porch, in my house, with my recipes and my stories and my hand holding your ring lights." "That's not..." She caught herself, probably remembering that everything she said might end up in my next video. "Look, I know I hurt your feelings, but this has gotten completely out of hand. People are acting like I committed some terrible crime." "What crime did you commit, Leah?" The question hung in the air between us. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. "I didn't commit any crime. I made a business decision. The brands were very specific about what they wanted, and I had to deliver. You have to understand the pressure I'm under. One wrong move, and my entire career could disappear." "Like you made me disappear?" Her face flushed. "That's not what happened." "Then what did happen? Explain it to me." She sat down across from me, leaning forward with her hands clasped. It was a pose I'd seen her use in serious Instagram posts. "Mom, you know how much I love you, but the influencer world is different. It's about selling a dream, creating aspirational content. People don't want to see struggle or hardship. They want to escape into something beautiful. So, our story wasn't beautiful enough? Our story is complicated. The single mom working 3 jobs, the financial struggles, the cultural stuff. It doesn't fit the clean, aspirational brand that works on social media. The cultural stuff. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You mean being black? She looked away. It's not about that. Then what's it about? It's about market appeal. My audience is predominantly suburban white women aged 25 to 45. They connect with the coastal grandmother aesthetic, the effortless lifestyle, the white lifestyle. That's not what I said. It's what you meant. I stood up, walking to the mantel where family photos sat, photos that had never made it into her content. You erased me, Leah. Not just from your posts, but from your story. You turned our family history into a lie because the truth didn't fit your brand. I never lied about anything. You said this was a generational coastal retreat. You let people believe you were self-made. You've been using my house as your backdrop for 3 years while pretending I don't exist. If that's not lying, what is it? She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks in a way that would never make it to Instagram. I just wanted to be successful. I wanted to make something of myself, at my expense. I never meant for it to happen this way. It just evolved. And now people are calling me a terrible daughter, saying I'm heartless. My own followers are turning on me. Do you know what that feels like? I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw my little girl who used to collect shells on this beach. But I also saw the woman who told me I didn't fit her aesthetic. Actually, I do know what that feels like, I said quietly. It feels like being told by your own daughter that you're too real for her fake world. The room fell silent except for her crying. When she finally looked up, her eyes were desperate. Mom, I need you to fix this.
Post something.
Tell people it was all a misunderstanding. Say, we worked it out. Please. I sat back down, studying her face. You want me to lie for you. I want you to help me save my career. The career you built by erasing me. Mom, please.
For a moment, I almost said yes.
25 years of putting her needs first is a hard habit to break. But then I remembered all those nights holding ring lights, all those captions I'd written, all those times I'd made myself invisible so she could shine. No, I said simply. She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. What do you mean, no? I mean, no, Leah. I'm not going to fix this for you. For once in your life, you're going to have to face the consequences of your choices. I didn't want revenge. I wanted to remember who I was before I got cropped out. 6 months later, I'm sitting on the same porch where this all began, but everything has changed. The morning light filters through the jasmine I planted 20 years ago, and my coffee mug, still chipped, still perfect, steams in the coastal air. My phone buzzes with notifications, but they're different now. Publishing house updates, brand collaboration confirmations, and messages from women thanking me for showing them it's never too late to reclaim their voice. After Leah left that December day, storming out when I refused to save her career, I thought I might feel guilty. Instead, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. The internet, as it turns out, has a long memory and an even longer reach. Leah's follower count dropped to 200,000 within 3 months. The brands didn't just pull their partnerships, they quietly blacklisted her from future campaigns. The authentic holiday traditions content she'd planned to film in my house never materialized, and the spaces where she'd tried to recreate that aesthetic always looked forced, hollow. But the most telling moment came when she posted what her management team clearly intended as a comeback video. A carefully scripted apology filmed in a rented Airbnb with coastal decor, talking about learning and growing and the complexities of family relationships. It felt as manufactured as everything else she'd built, and the comments reflected that. People weren't buying the performance anymore. Meanwhile, my platform continued to grow, not through algorithms or strategies, but through genuine connection. At No Filter Mama hit 3 million followers, but more importantly, it became something I never expected: a community. Women shared their stories of being sidelined by their own children. Mothers talked about sacrificing their identities for their family's success. The comment sections became support groups where real people discussed real problems without filters or fancy lighting. The book deal came naturally. No aesthetic space. A Mother's Journey from Invisible to Undeniable will be published next spring. The advance was more money than I'd ever seen, enough to fully renovate the beach house not for content, but for comfort. Enough to finally replace that broken dishwasher I'd been living with for 3 years. But the most satisfying change was what I did with the house itself. No more ring lights cluttering my living room. No more stepping out of frame for someone else's shot. Instead, I started hosting retreats for Black women creators who wanted to tell their authentic stories. The same rooms where Leah had erased our heritage now ring with laughter, honest conversations, and the sound of women supporting women. I partnered with organizations that provide resources for single mothers trying to build businesses. The kitchen where I'd prepared countless meals for Leah's content now hosts cooking classes where we share real family recipes, the kind with history and soul, not just visual appeal. The brands that reach out to me now want something Leah never offered: authenticity without asterisks. They're not asking me to hide my age, my background, or my story. They want the whole Martha, chipped coffee mug and all. Last week, Coastal Living magazine, the same publication that had featured Leah as a rising star, called to discuss a cover story about women who found success by staying true to themselves. The irony was delicious, but I accepted graciously. Success tastes better without bitterness. I still see Leah's posts occasionally, though she's posting less frequently now. She's moved back to Georgia, living in a small apartment in Savannah, trying to rebuild her brand around authentic storytelling and real-life moments. The comments are sparse, the engagement minimal. She's learning what I always knew: you can't build something real on a foundation of lies. She's never apologized, not publicly, not privately. Her pride won't allow it, and honestly, I don't need it anymore. I spent too many years waiting for her validation to waste more time hoping for her accountability. The beach house feels like mine again in a way it hasn't for years. When I sit on the porch now, I'm not hiding from cameras or staying out of frame. I'm simply living in the space I created, sharing it with people who value authenticity over aesthetics. Yesterday, a young Black woman who follows my content sent me a message that made me cry. You showed me that our stories matter exactly as they are. I'm starting my own platform, and I'm not going to hide who I am or where I come from. Thank you for proving we don't need to make ourselves smaller to make others comfortable. That's when I knew this journey was never about revenge or even recognition. It was about remembering who I was before I got cropped out of my own life. I built something beautiful here, not just the house, but the life inside it. And no one gets to edit me out of my own story ever again. The morning sun climbs higher, casting new light on old spaces, and I smile as I open my laptop to work on Chapter 12 of my book. The working title for this chapter is perfect. She made me invisible. I made myself undeniable. Outside, the waves keep rolling in, just like they did 23 years ago when I first dreamed of this place. But now I'm not just surviving the tide, I'm learning to dance with it.